Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Orphe, and today we're going to talk about modeling, how to book your model, how to book a model for your next shoot. So most of the time, artists or photographers, when they start, they have this problem. You send an email or a DM to a model. Sometimes they answer and sometimes they don't. And also sometimes when they answer, you guys book a date and they don't show up. Or you send an email to an agency and the agency never replies and you start doubting yourself. These are the things that you should do, and I think that will help you to get your models booked. So in today's episode, I'm gonna give you some tips. I'm gonna give you some of the things that I did and I still apply to this day to make sure I have a model even though I'm in a different city. Let's jump right into it. Most of the models, they are online or that you find, they're mostly already signed and sometimes already have experience, but some of them don't have experience. And you may take it personal and sometimes you don't know, you think that your work is not good enough. I'm pretty sure your work is good. It's just you might need a little bit of redirection to make sure you book the right model. When I started out, I was fortunate enough to go into an agency. I forgot the name of the agency. I think it was Next Models in Montreal. The person in charge of those models, the agent, the first thing she mentioned was the makeup. The rest was irrelevant because I already had some photos, but we're gonna get to that part later in terms of photos. But she mentioned something. She talked about makeup. She asked me who was the makeup artist, but I didn't have a makeup artist yet. But what she said, I want a makeup on my models to look like Gap makeup. I didn't know what she was saying, but she explained. She told me she wants the kind of makeup that doesn't look like makeup. So when you pull up on Gap, the brand Gap, for example, you go on their page, the type of makeup that doesn't look like makeup, that's the type of makeup they want, because this is the best way for them to sell their models. Now, talking about selling the models, you got to understand this. There is a structure in a modeling agency. So you have signed models, they all signed, but they have different categories. So I'm just going to separate them in two categories. The first category is the established models, and the next category is the test models. So this is the new faces. That's how they call them. So if you go on the website, most agencies, they have like a new face section. Those new face section are the type of models they brand new signed, or they've been signed for a year, but they don't, or more, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years, but they don't have enough portfolio because they are working on their portfolio. So the agency have a plan for them. They have a direction. So when you write an email, you need to follow their direction. I know sometimes it's not fair, but you need to know in which industry you're getting yourself into. So first of all, the way they sell it, they want to sell the features. So let's go back to the makeup artist. When you find a makeup artist, you got to make sure that this makeup artist understand what a makeup, no makeup means, because a lot of people want to shoot editorials. They want to go crazy with, some smoky eyes, eyeliners and stuff like that. But normally, it's not what sells their models, because their features are transformed and are changed. But that's not what you want to do. You might feel it a little bit annoyed. You might feel annoyed, but to be honest, this is the route. You got to find a makeup artist that understands the no makeup thing, which is the model looks like themselves, but all the features have been enhanced. So this is the thing that you gotta look when you search for a makeup artist. You gotta make sure that makeup artist understands your vision. Now, let's go back to the new faces. So the new faces, most of them didn't have a lot of shoots, but they still want some photos from different photographers. this is where you come in. So when you send an email, you got to ask for new faces. And sometimes you need to go on the website, you establish or you know exactly which model to choose. Whatever model you choose, normally they'll send you what's called a package. They're going to send you a package of different models. Sometimes the models that you have chosen might not end up in that package, but you still got to go for it because the goal is to establish a good relationship with the agency. You're probably going to tell me, yeah, this is what I did. I sent an email or whatever, but they never get back to you. Now you got to go back to your portfolio. You got to look at yourself as a brand. If you are a brand and someone goes onto your page, for example, let's just start with Instagram. We're not going to talk about a website yet, but let's start with Instagram. You go on your Instagram, you don't have anything that shows that you are this type of photographer or you photograph this type of models. And that's not necessarily this type of models, but you don't give them enough material for them to judge or to see that you are the type of photographer they can trust their model with. And now it's all about trust because you post a lot of different things. You post your vacation, you post a bunch of things that have nothing to do with shooting models. Now, this might not be a problem if you have a website. So if you have a website, you can always send them to your website so they can look at your work. But let's be honest, in today's world, you need to have an Instagram page where they can see your work. At least some of the things that you've done in the past. They have to feel that you part of the industry. So the next question will be, how do you want me to have something if they always refuse to give me models or, any models that I find online never wants to shoot with me? And I think that's the big problem because you see the end result. So you want to work with those models already instead of shooting with the people around you. So you have to establish a visual style. So your visual style is, what is your style? What is your style of lighting? What type of photography you shoot? Because there's a big spectrum of, photography in terms of, fashion or commercial photography. Do you shoot black and white? Do you shoot color? What type of lighting you use most of the time? When someone look at your photo, what type of photo represents you? You got to think of it as a signature, which means you don't need a model to dictate your signature. You can shoot anybody and you will always shoot the same type of pictures that have your name on it. So you should take your friends, you can take your cousin, you can just try things and start posting them. Once you establish your style, you have your signature, you know what type of lighting you're gonna do, I guarantee you that people will start associating a certain type of image to your name. Now it makes everything easier because if you get in touch with a model online, they know what they could expect from you without even you showing up like supermodels or models from agencies. So those are the things that I did when I first started in this industry. All right, that's it for today. Let me know if you have questions, write them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode. You already know what time it is. It's your boy Orphe the Myth, baby. I'm out.